Alright, time to rant into the void here. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is finally out. It's here, and it's queer, if you believe the anti-woke rumors that spread like wildfire about this game before it even released. I'm not gonna prelude this with too much intro because if you're watching this, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, it was basically leaked that there would be a new option in the sequel to make the protagonist, Henry, bisexual, and also a screenshot revealed that they added one singular black character. Yep. Now, of course, this was enough to send people into a frenzy on the radical and weird far end of the spectrum that cares about this shit, but I'd say it was really a developer's response to the fans' questions about these things that made it a bit more complicated. Daniel Vavra, one of the main developers in Warhorse and pretty much the figurehead for Kingdom Come's public relations, had lobbied on Twitter to address some of these rumors. He had first started off by simply downplaying the existence of some of these things rather than explaining why are they in the game to begin with, when the original game seemed to steer as far away as it could from modern culture. He did eventually do that, of course, but I do agree his initial responses to these controversies did not help all that much, especially in regards to backpedaling Henry's personality as being more malleable by the player than it actually is. I don't want to linger on this side of the conversation though, as I'd rather explain why the game is not woke through my own personal experiences while playing it, rather than digging up old tweets from Daniel. Also, yes, DEI teams exist. I know from real-world experience now, unfortunately. Yes, the gaming industry is having a lot of issues with this and their writing, and yes, forced inclusion and representation without said decent writing or justified story intentions is getting really old and cringe. But that is simply not the case for Kingdom Come 2. Now, most people that are actually playing the game, actual fans of the first title, don't really seem to care about any of this, rightly so. If there wasn't such a big-ass whine and fuss over these things before the game released, then nobody would have even noticed an issue because there simply isn't one. And now many are boycotting the game for things that don't even exist or are barely prevalent. Or in the case of Musa, the African character, an actual beneficial addition to the game. I'll explain the gay romance thing first because that seems to be the most hot-button issue when it comes to accusing this game of being woke.
Halt! Search! Show me what you've got on you!
Fuck you, catchpole!
Alright then!
Spoiler, yeah, you can romance Hans. You have to follow a very specific string of flirtatious prompts that are so obvious that you need to go out of your way to do it. Then you guys kiss and an implied sex scene ensues or something. I don't know, because I just didn't do it. And I don't even have footage of it here because it's that optional. It is the only option to be gay, by the way. The way people were freaking out about it made it sound like Henry was going to be walking around able to pick up dudes like it was a gay bar while waving a rainbow pride flag of Skalitz or some shit. No, Henry is not gay. He is still very much straight, with many women romances largely overshadowing the single gay one. And Hans being your best friend and closest ally surviving everything together throughout 2 games, it's not the most unbelievable idea in the world that these two could form an intimate relationship. It's fan service more than anything at that point. I mean, how many RPGs out there in the past allowed you to be gay and no one gave a single shit about it, but now it calls the entire game's integrity into question? Yes, Henry is a pre-established straight character and a Christian. Very much still is, and that reflects, but this is just one single option you can do out of a million over the course of 100 plus hours of gameplay. You could also be a sociopathic murderer, it's a game, dude. At the end of the day, Henry isn't real, so who gives a fuck? Roleplay how you want. The story is still amazing. If you don't want to be gay, like I myself didn't, don't. It's that easy. There's no sexual tension between Henry and Hans the entire game unless you choose there to be. You cannot accidentally run into it despite what some people may have said and posted about. Otherwise, enjoy their platonic friendship as I did the entire game and get the fuck over it. Gay people exist. Men struggling with sudden intimate feelings happen. You don't have to be one, it's optional. And it's not even a new concept for Kingdom Come. 2 villains, Istvan and Eric, were heavily implied to be gay in the first game, and this one all but confirms it. Not in a way that it rubs it in your face or shoves it down your throat. This game is just as well written, creative, and tasteful as the previous, if not more so. Saying that, let's move on to Musa, the infamous black character who became like an urgent legend to those who care way too much about anti-woke policy in their games right before release. So why did Musa's existence freak people out so much? I think it's pretty obvious. The developers at Warhorse Studio took a big stand against forcing inclusivity into their game, when they were called into question why Kingdom Come lacks diversity. They said they want to be as historically accurate as possible and tell their story, nothing more. Then lo and behold, this screenshot pops up of an African guy and people are like, what the fuck, Warhorse? Why did you cave into diversity demands? This prompted many to question the previously discussed developer, Daniel Vavra, as well as look into Warhorse's new management chain between the producers and the company parent, revealing that the big dog on top has a DEI team. Of course, there are just the blatantly racist people that can't stand seeing a black person in their game, but we're not going to give a shit about that. Now, why is Musa actually here and what is his purpose? Quite a bit of reasoning actually. He explains in depth his background and how it came to be that he left Mali to eventually end up in Hungary to join King Sigismund's court, and then now he is here in Bohemia during the war. He is a traveling physician who hoped to be personally appointed by the king to a valuable position in the court, but was sorely disappointed. Yes, some of his demeaning dialogue about Bohemia compared to his own country that you may have seen floating around is in the game, but these are written in a way that it's his own personal opinion. These do not reflect how the game overall treats its themes or how 99% of other characters feel. In fact, you can skill check Musa and give him a better impression of Bohemia by explaining more objective facts about it, and he will take a friendly approach by it. He explains that the reason for his embitterment is that he is stuck in this hillside camp, wasting away his skills, facing isolation from the locals since he is a foreigner treated with fear and distrust most of the time, which is pretty believable stuff for the current timeline. I mean, Henry himself has never seen a black person before and has some funny dialogue about it when you meet him. Oh, he's also Muslim, and I feel it once again needs to be emphasized that this has no effect on the game or story overall, but is just a personal character trait of Musa, and it allows him to have an outside perspective on the character's Christianity. And, I mean, what else is there to say? You get some interesting dialogue, a well-written personality, and Musa can even play a bigger role later on in the story, which I'm not sure if that's just due to the choices that I made, being more friendly towards him or not. I mean, I'd be interested in seeing how the story plays out if you didn't help Musa at a certain point, but I won't get into that for the sake of spoilers. Overall, my point is that he is just a good addition to the game's cast. I have nothing negative to say about his character. I don't know what else to tell you. Black people exist. They have always existed. He is the only one in the game as well. Any rumors otherwise are false, and anything else made up to stir hate and rage bait people against the game are completely made up. His role is pretty minor overall, but he makes for an interesting side character. That's really it to say about him. And for the third thing I want to quickly touch upon are some other bullshit rumors about the game, especially in regards to the Jewish characters. I've seen posts shown to me, and I'm not sure if they're just memeing or rage baiting, but they are just completely made up. Shit like a child sodomy scene, or killing Christians to protect Jews, or Jewish people being treated holier in the game than the Christians. Like, I don't know what to tell you other than, yeah, that's not real, man. It's not in the game. There is a fight later on in the Jewish quarter, spoiler alert, but it's about the enemy soldiers being led by an antagonist, being ordered by the villain king to attack the Jews because they know they are in support of Wenceslas and his allies, and it is purely a bad guys versus good guys fight, okay? It has nothing to do with a religious war or message. Although, fucking obviously, the Jewish characters are gonna take it as such because they have been victimized, as has happened historically, and there's even a dedicated word for it that they bring up. There's also this screenshot you may have seen, which is a fake out regarding anti-Semites. Spoiler, this ends up being an ambush to introduce a couple of other characters, specifically a Jewish guy named Samuel, who ends up being prominent due to a specific relation to Henry, and not just because he is Jewish. And there's not much else to say about this one. Like, if you're that anti-Semitic that the mere existence of Jews causes you to hate the game, then that's your problem. Most people probably don't care about any of this shit. I don't personally, but I still feel the need to make these points in defense of a game I greatly enjoyed. Gay, black, and Jewish people exist. They do. This game doesn't do anything untasteful with that or change its themes. It's not wokeified at all. My entire playthrough I didn't notice a single problem because there aren't any. It is just more Kingdom Come, which is what we all wanted. Anyone who actually played the first game and was a fan and ended up boycotting this one because of the controversies, you miss out on a borderline perfect sequel for no reason. Literally nothing. Instead of crying and bitching at the first sign of disagreement or things changing in a way you don't like, maybe do your own research, try experiencing the game for yourself, think for yourself. Like, grow up and act like an adult, because if you can't distinguish your problems with the real world with things that just happen to, be present in your entertainment, then maybe the problem actually lies with you. You're the problem, and I am seriously sick of hearing about this shit from both ends of the political spectrum when it has no real bearing or effect on anything in a game. Well, that covers that. If my ranting and raving somehow convinces even one person to try the game, I'll consider it a win. Knowing the internet, I'll probably be labeled woke myself from people who didn't even watch the damn video, or somehow I'll be the one called a homophobe or racist, whatever. I don't give a shit. I said what I felt I needed to say, and I hope you enjoyed it. Buy Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's amazing.
If you're going to keep yanking my pizzle, I'll kick your ass to Kingdom Come. Deliverance.